This is going to be just a reference video for the owner, but I'll put it out on YouTube just in case there's somebody out there that doesn't know how to run one of these. And maintenance and stuff. This is kind of particular to this one. I just want to make sure that the guy that owns it, he takes care of everything, knows, it's like a reference video. Obviously, pins there. This is the danger zone. So we'll go over greasing first because it's really important. You got zerts here. There's one there. There's one there. There is none anywhere else back here. And then you've got one here. You've got one here. And you got one right there. And I would, where this one's a little older, I would, every time give her a couple of pumps. Not, every time you use it after you're done, just give it a couple of pumps. Keep it greased up well. The bearings will need to be packed at some point, but they were kind of like in the in-between. They're fine. They're tight. I didn't want to open up another thing on this. This was... but at some point, those bearings should be repacked probably next year. The belt looks good. To take the guard off for that, you got 3 bolts. One there, and one there. To change out the blades, I'm not really sure about that, so we won't go over that. Let's just do a quick walk around. Obviously, radiator right here. Wait till this is cool. So what I would do is just the next day, pop it off, and then just observe the level of the coolant. It should be just about below that tube, that little hole right there. If it's lower than that, just top it off, screw this on all the way, get pushed down, tighten. This does have an overflow tube. This will squirt out every once in a while. It'll squirt out some antifreeze, and it will come out quite a bit if it is over, or if it's overheating. You can get a piece of gas line if you want. Put that on there and have like an overflow tank. You can snake it down through here, and I'd cross it over and try to get it on this side, and put it somewhere right there. This didn't have one, so I didn't put one on it. Make sure you're using coolant mix, 50-50 water to coolant. They sell those jugs. Okay, this is a vent, so when you're not using it, that should be closed. When you are using it, that should be open, and that's so it will vent. If it's closed, this will not vent, and it will shut your engine off. It won't run right. So if it's not running right, that's a good thing to check. Make sure that's open. Has little directions right on the top of it. Oil right there. Like we talked about, I would probably change the oil in this around 50 hours when the meter says 50 hours. I'd change the oil. If you want to do it sooner, do it at 25. It's looking good so far. It's not, it smells good. It's looking good. I don't think there's any reason to change it anytime soon. I cleaned it out really well. So anyways, the wire situation, it's a lot better. You don't have any contact points, or you do have one contact point. This right here, if I can zoom in on it, that box or that connection right there, that's live. All right, so if you touch those with anything, you'll get a zap. That's just the way it came, but just be aware of that. They then potentially give you a zap. All right, and we'll just go over starting procedure. If it is warm out, don't pull the choke out. You don't need to do it. I don't think. If it's cold out, definitely, pull the choke out. If it doesn't fire immediately, push the choke in and try it then. If it's still not firing, pull this all the way out and crank it over with it wide open. I don't think you're going to have an issue with it being too rich now. I fixed the choke butterfly, so that when the choke is off, the choke is actually totally off. And it was running better. So I don't think you're going to have an issue with that. Anyways, every time you pull this open, it squirts fuel in. Remember that. You will flood it if you pull it out too many times. Starting procedure, obviously you just kind of fire it off. Let it run for, a minute or so. If you let it sit there and idle, it will come up on the heat fairly fast. You'll get up to 190. I don't think you're going to get any higher than around 200. It's going to probably, it has for me anyways, it's dropped down. When it's running at full tilt and this thing's on, it seems to stay cool. It's usually a 190 and under the whole time. But just so you know that when it's just sitting there idling, it will get a little hotter. And to engage this, you need to have it at full throttle. All right. So this needs to be all the way out. And you slowly engage this. And if you want to look down in to the pulley, get that belt moving pretty good before you go in all the way. If you try to just go in gung-ho, you may stall it out. But anyways, I'll do just a quick start up and just get it turned on. When you shut it down, you can idle it down half. What I've been doing is idle it down halfway and then pull this back, but you've got to hold on to this for a little bit. If you let go, it can engage again. So hold on to this, and then with your other hand, push the throttle in all the way. It's going to take a while for that thing to slow down. So let it get down to idling RPM, and then shut it off. Let it run, let it sit on idling or low idle for, 30 seconds or so, and then shut it off. You don't want to shut it off at full throttle, because that can cause issues. So anyways, I'll show you a good startup. I know I don't want to be mansplainer or mansplaining or anything, but if you're using this with other people, only have one person feeding at all times. And I would suggest that person being the least accident prone out of anybody, and be very aware at how you're loading this. It depends on what you send in. If you have a limb or something that has branches coming out, that to be aware of this, that are going to prevent it from going into the chute smoothly, it can stop it. And then you're trying to feed it in. This is what they call a chuck and duck. Okay, and they mean this. It's a dangerous. It's a very dangerous piece of equipment, because there's multiple things that can happen. Is it can when it grabs the bigger chunk that you have, when it has a hold of a limb, it shoots it right through. I mean, it is just like almost instantaneously. The smaller the branch, the faster it will go. It can be pretty violent though. If you take a piece of softwood, like, you know, let's say a really big Christmas tree, like one of those over there, it will take just about the thing. I'd go 4 inches or less on diameter size at the butt, but it will take it. And if there's any big branches that are on this side of you, could knock you in there. If you use gloves, you should tape your glove shut, or not use. Honestly, I don't use gloves, because if you have any kind of grab point, a branch or whatever, it can drag you in there. So it happens so quick. So the way I do it is I get the end of the, we'll open this up and show you. Get the butt end of the stick up there and stand back as far as you can. Make sure there's no branches that are going to hit you on the way, and just get the butt end in there, and it's probably going to suck it straight through. If you run into the point where you put it in and it grinds a little bit and it stops, just keep trying to be towards the end of the limb and just help it along the way. Don't be up in this zone until the tree is pretty much in there. It can kick back. That's why these are here. These help a lot. So just be aware of all those things when you're feeding this thing. But like I said, you could take turns. Try to have only one person feeding it, because that will alleviate confusion, and it will alleviate anybody being around this thing as you're feeding it. You don't want anybody around as you're feeding it. So there we have it. I'll start it up and shut it down and end the video. Oh, also, this has a light, okay? If this is lit up, and it's pretty easy to see. It's not lit right now. When it's lit up, it's yellowish, and you'll notice it. If that's lit up, that means that it has low oil pressure, and you want to shut it down immediately. Low oil pressure is not a good thing, so we want to try to notice that. I would, at first, as you get used to this, check on this dial or this gauge. You know, like feed a good amount into it. Like every 15 minutes, just come over, 10-15 minutes, come over, just take a look at it, walk back. If it loses oil pressure though, I think you're going to notice it before you notice the light. So anyways, start up. It should start easier every time. I pulled the throttle out. That's probably why it kind of didn't start immediately. This thing's very loud. Please use ear protection, but don't listen to music. You want to hear if this thing's doing something wrong. So I know this is all somewhat common sense, but I want to make sure that you have a reference to come back to if you got any questions or wondering about stuff. So to engage this thing, it's been running long enough. To engage this thing, you pull this out all the way. It'll rev up. All right. And then you push this in till it starts engaging. See it start to move. Get it rolling real good. You'll hear the engine bog down a little bit, get it moving, and then push it in all the way. It sounds terrifying. All all the time. So you gotta kind of get used to it. That's why having some good ear protection is good, because it'll kind of alleviate some of the fear of it. That I'll wait till I tell you that. So this is how to shut it down. Sit halfway. Pull it out. Make sure you hold it there. Push that all the way in. Remember to let it just kind of hang out for 30 seconds. Alright, and then just straight up and down with the key. This does have an accessory, so it can turn backwards and it will still run, okay? Straight up and down. This takes a long time for it to shut down, so be aware of that. A lot of times it's best, before you shut it down, lift this up and pin it. That way there's no chance. And I know somebody will say, well, how the heck could, I'm telling you, there's always that little bit of chance. Don't take it. Just close it up, shut it down, stay alive. Keep an arm. So after a little bit, this does stay back, but at first, when you first disengage it, it's still spinning fast enough. That's still spinning fast enough that it will suck it back in with the vibrations and everything. All right, and this thing, just make sure the chute is aimed where you want it. This thing will shoot tree as far as that, almost as far as that van is away from me. So be aware of where you point this thing. It is adjustable. If you loosen this nut up here, you can pivot it this way. All right, and if you loosen up these here, you can tilt it up and down. There's that one, and then there's that one there. So there you have it. Sorry for the lengthy video, but at least you have a reference. If you want to come back, and it just has general, general kind of stuff. That way, if you can't get a hold of me or whatever, you have a reference. Maybe if you're going to have anybody operating this with you to watch this video beforehand, please like and subscribe to my channel if you want. And stay safe. This thing's a bear. It can hurt you real bad.